How are you guys doing? What makes you guys want to come out here today in support of the fascism that's happening here in the United States?
Support the fascism?
Well, do you believe? Well, you say Elon Musk is a Nazi.
Did you see him do that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're doing right now, right?
That's a Nazi.
So
I'm not a
Are
Nazi.
you
Only Nazis want Musk.
so you're not protesting because you want Elon Musk to be a Nazi?
Is this obvious? Isn't this obvious?
Well, only Nazis want Musk, so I'm kind of confused.
We're not Nazis.
Oh, you guys
Only
aren't Nazis.
No.
Oh.
Are you sure?
I'm not eating an apple. Isn't it obvious? Once again, we see the consequence of society where accountability is an afterthought. But let's be clear, it isn't just about a car. It's about the breakdown of respect for property and law in a world where too many believe they can act without consequence. Fafo indeed.
Go directly to jail.
Take a look at this. This is video from the victim's Tesla camera. It shows a green car pulling up to a Tesla on busy Route 66, then swerving in front to box the Tesla in. The driver then walks over to the 61-year-old woman in the Tesla and reportedly starts hitting her while she's sitting behind the wheel. At one point, the woman says she bit the man's hand. Moments later, the passenger of the green car appears to walk over and pull the attacker away. They finally get back in their car and drive off. We spoke to the victim today, who said she was terrified and can't understand why anyone would do this.
I was just stunned, and I wished that I would have had someone with me that would have protected me. I'm just appalled. I didn't buy my car for a political statement. I bought my car because it's really fun to drive, and my politics have nothing to do with that, and I'm ashamed of our society and what they're doing.
The victim, along with the other Tesla owner who received a threatening note and text, have both now signed up for a gun safety course at a gun range north of Flagstaff. They tell us they don't feel safe right now and want to be able to protect them.
Hypocrisy, my friend.
This is the most hypocritical thing I've heard in my life. First of all, you attack an old lady and then you block the car. I'm like, wait. You do that on the streets? Isn't that dangerous? I mean, most people that I know would fight another person, cool. But an old lady? I'm like, come on, man. And now you fear for your safety. You go get a gun, but I'm against gun. You generally of that party that is against the Tesla is going to get a gun.
Wait. No, wait. This is crazy.
That doesn't make any sense, but it's your safety. But then you're the party of believe all movement. I want to be me too. Anonymous, I need to be safe. Because somebody might attack me that fears for their life. That's why they're going to get the gun, but wants to remove all the guns.
That's my opinion!
I don't understand how you can justify beating an old woman just because of their I don't can even justify it not because of political.
I was so young. Keelan woke me up in the morning and said, "You're going to meet a prince today." I didn't know at that point that I was going to be trafficked to that prince. And then that night, Prince Andrew came to her house in London, and we went out to Club Tramp. Prince Andrew got me alcohol. It was in the VIP section. I'm pretty sure it was vodka. Prince Andrew was like, "Let's dance together." And I was like, okay. And we leave Club Tramp, and I hop in the car with Ghislaine and Jeffrey, and Ghislaine said he's coming back to the house, and I want you to do for him what you do for Epstein. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even royalty were involved.
And ladies and gentlemen, guess what? She was hit by a bus. Remember to subscribe.
¿Por qué?
This year has been the worst start to a new year, but I won't bore anyone with the details, but I think it's important to know that when a school bus driver comes at you 110 km as we were slowing for a turn, that no matter what your car is made of, it might as well be a tin can. Transferring me to specialist hospital and urology. I'm ready to go, just not until I see my babies one last time. But you know what they say about the wishes. Shit in one hand and wish in the others, and I guarantee you it's still going to be shit at the end of the day, but I prefer to be in shit with my kids, so I do understand her. Thank you for all being the wonderful people of the world and being a great part of my life. God bless you all, Virginia. I find it very interesting that somebody had so much power. You put a camera on him to keep him safe and he got almost deleted once, and then again he did get deleted successfully, and then the camera didn't work, and all the people that he kind of worked for, whenever they have a voice and they want to talk about something, suddenly people want to delete them too. I find it a little suspicious.
Apparently it doesn't
did you
work.
write a
The crayons
swastika
don't
on
work.
the? It's a key, sir. We see it on the video.
It's not a key.
Did you? Is it a
I
swastika?
was probably putting my keys in
Is
my
it a
pocket.
swastika?
Have you looked at your car?
Is it a
Is
swastika?
there a key
yes.
mark?
Yeah, you can just swipe it away. Not if you scratch it though.
Is it
It's
a
not-
swastika?
that's
It's at the
impossible.
police right now. It's being fingerprinted.
What do you mean it's being fingerprinted?
Because they're trying to track you down. Thankfully, Facebook tracked you down. So your business, your freaking livelihood, everything now,
Listen.
because you chose to write so to tell Facebook that you're sorry for writing a swastika on a Tesla.
Listen, I said I'm sorry.
For what?
And I
For what? For
apologize.
what?
I have nothing against
For
your
what?
car, and I have nothing against you.
The gaslighting is legit.
Found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and he's somebody who's really intelligent, and he's somebody who works in climate tech as a super smart guy, somebody I would never have thought was conservative, and apparently he is. And it's surprising and it's disgusting, but what's most surprising to me is the level of sudden hatred that I have for him. Sudden hatred for this man who I used to respect suddenly just went boop, and I hate him now.
I was never ready to just call this a mental health issue, but if somebody is doing exactly what you like, he's respectful, he's about climate change, maybe even equality, just to add something extra.
And that's how I became a Democrat.
Just the idea that you are conservative, that's an issue. And it makes me wonder, what made him conservative?
I have so many questions!
You could even find a middle ground, and you have a humongous hatred? It is a pattern that I recognize in all the people that don't like Tesla.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say I told you so.
There's also an anecdotal incident that has come to my attention, someone raised it to me, involving race as well, where a young child who was about 4 years old at the time, who was white and blonde, was presented with a series of dolls that they were told to play with by their particular teacher. They were given a doll that was black, and they said, just as a child, oh, I want that one, which was white. They were then reported for racism, and their parents were brought into school to talk about it. And this is really what I want to drill down on. Not just the fact that this is happening right across the country, Martin, but also the fact that it has knock-on effects for parents. Because then they start asking questions about, well, where is the child getting this from? What kind of conversations are you having in the home? And before you know it, social services can be involved. Other parents at the school gate start talking about whether or not you're a racist or you're a transphobe.
Or a conservative, because maybe the kid just like a Tesla car.
And you're passing these views on to children. For children saying things that are just genuine. For example, one child who was aged about 6 years old, who was a boy, saw that another boy in his class was turning up to school wearing a dress. And they pointed out, as a child might do, Martin, that was a bit different and that they didn't quite understand it. They were reported for not accepting that child's particular gender. The parents were hauled in. And what we're now seeing, as you'll hear later on in my show tonight, is a rise in homeschooling.
And that's why a lot of kids these days, they don't like politics at all. They hate it because it's used to judge them so much. And I can tell you right now, that's how Christian made a lot of atheists.
It's complicated, so pay attention.
And that's how you make people that don't like your ideology.
In my opinion, a society that aims for equality before liberty will end up with neither equality nor liberty. And a society that aims first for liberty will not end up with equality, but it will end up with a closer approach to equality than any other kind of system that has ever been developed. Now that conclusion is based both on evidence from history, across history, and also, I believe, on reasoning which, if you try to follow through the implications of aiming first at equality, will become clear to you. You can only aim at equality by giving some people the right to take things from others. And what ultimately happens when you aim at equality is that A and B decide what C shall do for D.
And that is not equality.
Except that they take a little bit of a commission off on the way.
And that's why we go to UN.
Say that the European Parliament is very transparent, and you can all the people, the European citizens and everyone in the world, they can go in the website and they can find our salaries, they can find how much budget we are allowed to use, how much money we can spend, and this is very good. It builds trust and it's transparent. And also build expectations for the citizens. But I'm unhappy because the European Commission doesn't have the same procedure. Really? When you go to the commissioners, you cannot see the salaries of the staff, how much budget they have, and all this stuff. So this is not as transparent, the European Commission. So I encourage the European Commission to be like the European Parliament, a lot more transparent, because this will build a lot of trust. I love you all.
And I don't think that's going to happen, because the UN always investigate the people they call right-wingers, but they never investigate the people on the left.
Okay, so the lawfare being used against right-wing politicians in Europe is being taken to a whole new level. Marine Le Pen, the leader of Rassemblement National, the populist right-wing party in France, has just been sentenced to 4 years in jail, of which 2 suspended, and has been barred from partaking in French politics for the next 5 years. That means that she's been barred from running against Macron for the position of the president of France. She's been convicted for allegedly embezzling European funds, misusing European funds for her national fraction of the party instead of the European fraction of the party, which I dare to bet money on the fact that if any judicial system in any European country would launch an investigation into left-wing parties to see if they were doing that let's say 80% of them would be found guilty of the same thing, because I used to work in the European Parliament, and trust me, this is something that I think happens a lot more than they want you to believe.
And they would never do that, because they would say it's not necessary to prove them wrong, because even if they're wrong, it is right because you're stopping the other party that they're going to investigate.
And of course, we will never know that because they don't launch investigations into left-wing parties, because the whole aim of this is to crush the right wing in Europe, because we're growing too fast. And so the system, the cabal, needs to come down on us through another way. And what do? Lawfare. They're banning us. They're banning our parties. They're banning politicians from running. They're convicting us of hate speech and hate crimes. That's how they do it. That's a new strategy. And, think about it for a second. Embezzlement of European funds. Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, is under investigation for corruption because she closed a 35 billion euro deal with the CEO of Pfizer via text message. And we still don't have those text messages, but she is the president of the European Commission, and Marine Le Pen is not allowed to run as the president of France. If that is not two-tier politics, I don't know what is.
The UK government, where they admitted they're going to charge white people harsher than any other minority.
Currently, the government has a duty to remove any foreign national who has been sentenced to 12 months or more in prison. But now, for offences like entering the country illegally, possession of false identity documents, they might actually get less than 12 months, so that's being downgraded. In fact, the guidelines recommend giving a first offence discount to someone who's committed an immigration crime. I mean, how mad is that? Because that's the big crime they want to commit, isn't it? Breaking into Britain. So if you give them a first offence discount for that, then what's the point in punishing them at all if you're not going to get rid of them?
And all I have to say is this. Even if I'm wrong, let's say if I'm wrong, the only way you're going to get my trust if you have to do the same thing that you're doing to the other side. If you say, I'm the boss, I care, but you can't see my text, I'm like, no. Even if you're right, I can't trust you. Because you build a system that is not based on trust, because I'm too stupid to understand what you're doing.
Don't get me wrong, makosa kita bong. Put the fire na mi blonde, kush hash, purple skunk, criollo, colombici, jam jam, durlo, que ta verdetta, welcome.